I've got all my stuff. I can rock and roll.
Hey, we're on the wrong.
You have to change the cam, yeah, but that's
Yeah.
okay. Welcome back, nerds. It's producer Art from Big Dumb Monsters, and I have my guest friend here, Bridget.
We
from
do have
Fighting
that
with
echo
Friends.
again.
Yeah, the echo's back. We'll have to fix
Hi.
that. We are here with the inaugural episode of Regrettable Reviews and Other Unasked For Opinions. It is a spin-off from the source material, Big Dumb Monsters. It's sort of akin to the Defenestration Hour, if you've been paying attention to that. But instead of action flicks, we're hitting it hard on sci-fi. We may mix it up and put some other stuff in there every now and then, but that's the spiel. Bridget, do you want to talk about your background with podcasting, your other show at all? Introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Bridget. I guess you could technically call me the founder of something, because I did cycle through a couple of co-hosts before I landed on the current other half of my podcast, Fighting with Friends. So yeah, founder and current co-host of the Fighting with Friends podcast that I started with one friend like summer of 2020 because everything was awful and I was bored. Said friend went to grad school, cycled through a couple other hosts, and now we're here. But we stream every Thursday to either play video games and just chat about whatever, or talk about a movie or TV show that my co-host and I have both watched. And we have new episodes of the podcast dropping every Friday at noon, or if you want to have the honor of being our first Patreon subscriber, you could get them Thursday at noon. But essentially, we hang out, we talk about whatever comes to mind. Ideally, those kind of debates where everyone gets very angry or like has very strong opinions, but they don't really matter. So like your pineapple on pizza, your like are anchovies disgusting as a concept. A lot of food-based ones because people get really into it, but no one's getting hurt.
Yeah, well, that's that fiery passion and willingness to argue with your friends is why I thought of you. To help me out with this venture. So tonight, tonight we're going to crack this whole thing open with one of my favorite sci-fi movies, 1997's Event Horizon.
I had fun with this one.
Oh, it's a classic in every possible way. I love everything about it.
I watched it with Kyle, whom you have met and who has featured on Fighting with Friends a couple times. And I took some notes, and hold on, let me crack the beverage here. My liquid death sparkling water.
Appropriate.
Product placement.
I'm desperately trying to get sponsored.
We were doing that with Utica Club for a while, but they won't answer my emails.
Because it's expensive compared to some others, but I like it so much better.
Yeah.
And that's my eternal struggle.
So yeah, Event Horizon. I mean, I saw this probably relatively soon to when it came out, which is terrifying because I would have been 11. But and I can't believe IMDb has this rated at 6.6.
I mean, what was I doing with a raging crush on Indiana Jones at age 8? I shouldn't have been watching that.
Yeah. I just looked down. IMDb has this rated as 6.6. Tell me how wrong they are in your opinion. What would you put this out of 10?
I'm gonna say, like, and maybe I'm being a little bit unfair here just because I tend to be I can be, at times, on the annoying cinephile side of things. So I'm gonna say in the range of a 6.5 to a 7.
Oof. Okay, so you
I
side
had
strong
fun
IMDb.
watching this, so you know what? 7.
All right. For me, it's a strong 9, maybe 9.5. I could watch this once a month and still never be tired.
Okay. See, now I'll have to find a sci-fi movie that is like that for me.
Oh, please make your suggestions. I'm in it.
I will think about it. I might have to let it percolate, but I will think about it.
I have lots of cheesy ones that I'm going to throw into the cycle also for us to go
Here's
over.
the thing. I love cheesy
them.
movies too. I try not to be an elitist, despite the fact that sometimes my brain like takes me in that direction, and I try to remind myself of like, one, the fact that the filmmaking process is very difficult, and two, like, don't be an asshole, Bridget.
Yeah. So obviously we have differing opinion. Yes, we're going to do Space Truckers, Nick. If you think we're not doing Space Truckers, you're high. Sorry, Nick in the chat here was harassing us and haranguing us.
Hey,
But
I love it.
But yeah, so I've loved this movie. I think that they do a really great job. And while looking it up, I was looking up some trivia for us to kind of like go over and talk about. There's a lot of things that I see in it that I noticed, but I didn't know they were intentional. Knowing that, I was very excited.
When I looked at the trivia for this, and I also still just have it pulled up on my phone, I realized how much I didn't notice.
Oh, okay. So we had opposite
But
reactions.
I'm
Okay.
also assuming you've seen this more than once, and I have not.
Yeah.
This was my first time watching it.
Oh, well, I'm so glad I got to do that for you because it's an amazing movie.
Oh no, I definitely had a very good time.
Yeah, so when I was looking at it, there's some things that happen so early on in the movie that I never caught. And like when they first fly by the event horizon, there's an antenna that's literally a whole ass X-wing just bolted on the outside of the model ship.
That I saw on the page, and I was just like,
blew my mind because how did I not see that? But also, I can never unsee it because it's so blatant. It's just an X-wing starfighter bolted to the side of the ship. I was looking for it because I was watching the trivia. I do it with Amazon Prime's X-Ray, and the trivia is timestamped right and live. It's so good.
Gotcha. That's kind of fun.
And there's a feel about the meat grinder that leads to the drive, and that whole drive thing that always felt so Hellraiser to me. And I don't know if you looked it up. Did you see it?
This is giving Hellraiser in a big way, but there's something else that it was kind of giving, and maybe this is hyper specific to me, having been a like 2013 Tumblr girl. The ship design reminds me a little bit of some episodes, not all, but some episodes of Tennant era Doctor Who.
Oh, that is not a thing that I know anything about. So I can't confirm or deny. I can say it looks like a Nebula B frigate from Star Wars.
I don't know what that is, so we're both doing great.
Well, we'll get there. See, that's the point. We're going to mesh our sci-fi together and
We
form
will meet
some
in
sort
the
of...
middle
Bleh.
at some point. But
Right.
I gotta say, older, like, science fiction, even just from, like, pre-2000, God, they had such high hopes for us. They're like, 2049, we're sending a rescue mission out past Neptune.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't even know if we're gonna make 2049 at this point.
Right. Yeah, that is true. Whenever you're watching an older movie that has a timestamp for the future, well, a little bold of you to assume that, you know?
Although, I gotta say, I am really holding out, this is, like, tangentially related, I am holding out that Star Trek was right for the Irish reunification of 2024. Big year for my people, if true.
That'd be really funny. No, The Simpsons would have to predict it for it to also become true.
Yeah, I never thought of that.
Yeah, so I don't know. Was there anything that stuck out to you watching the movie, like from the trivia, that you're like, oh, now that I see that piece, that's really cool that they did that.
The X-Men thing stuck out to me. I was mostly kind of like, I was kind of blown away by how long they said that some of these effects things took them.
Oh my God,
like, the
yeah.
CGI is a little bit quote unquote dated, but within that, I find that like it looks so much better than whatever just fucking like, you know, Marvel garbage that they're pumping out at, you know, warp speed.
Yeah.
Because it was like yes, maybe the technology used to make the, you know, the CGI effects here is a little dated, but it was like, you know, made by somebody who gave a fuck.
Yeah, they put there's the we have the movie running here, and there's the X-wing. The Crosswing. That's clearly the distinct Crosswing fighter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Amen.
Oh, But
Yeah,
yeah,
that was my thing. It's like this is clearly like it's older effects technology, but it was made by people who cared and people who were actually paid to do their job. That was another thing that I was kind of struck by when I was reading some of the trivia. They're like, oh, like it took like 10 weeks to get this one thing right for a 45-second shot. I'm like they cared
yeah.
so much, and maybe it's not the absolute best movie in the world or whatever, the most groundbreaking effects, but it shows that they cared.
The effort they put into the ship design, it's such an
Like there
integral
was
piece.
a time when if your movie was entirely almost entirely green screen effects CGI, I'm thinking like Hellboy, for example,
Ah,
where if your movie was mostly special effects, you fucking paid for it. It was most of your budget.
right.
Whereas now, like again, these fucking Marvel movies, they like won't even go to a real bar to shoot because they can just green screen in one for by horrendously underpaying these poor visual effects artists.
Right. But yeah, that scene in the beginning, 45 seconds, 10 weeks to make, and it was a third of the visual effects budget. I can't imagine what this movie would have been if they didn't do that scene. How much more would we have
Utter
gotten?
insanity. Also, I am forever mourning the rumored 2-hour cut of this movie that went full Hellraiser.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that too. And nothing exists because it was pre-DVD. So when all that stuff got cut so that they wouldn't get the NC-17 rating, there's no hard copy. It doesn't exist anywhere. Nobody saved that stuff back then.
The notion of lost media makes me want to put my fist through drywall. It makes me so sad.
Yeah.
Especially knowing that we as a society have lost over 60% of films from the silent era.
Yeah.
Just because there was one, no notion of preserving them because it was who's going to do that, and two, you could recycle the celluloid.
Yeah, right. So that the stuff is just gone forever,
Yeah.
I did think it was really interesting, again, in the trivia, that Paul Anderson turned down Mortal Kombat Annihilation. He's coming right off of Mortal Kombat being a success, and declined to do Mortal Kombat Annihilation, turned down X-Men, and turned down something else, all because he wanted to do this project.
98 baby question.
Yeah.
There's a movie?
For Mortal Kombat? There's 4 movies.
Do I look?
But yeah, so
okay.
he literally came off of Mortal Kombat fame to this, which I think it was good that he turned down Mortal Kombat Annihilation for this, because this is the way superior movie. This is if he said he was going to make a sequel to this, I'd throw money at a sequel to this.
If I may interject, can we just add a note that Mortal Kombat Annihilation is possibly one of the worst movies ever made?
So I said he dodged a bullet.
Hilariously so.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Yes, hilariously so. That's true. You should do Defenestration Hour. It's a fighting movie. There's action.
Do that. We could do that.
Or if we ever do the other one, that would definitely fit on the other show.
Yeah.
How many shows you got cooking?
We want to have 7 days a week. Tell your friends.
I'm here for it.
So, yeah, I mean, as far as the trivia goes, there's a lot of interesting stuff that stuck out. We've talked about the ship design and the horror elements. Oh, that's right, the drive. Originally written that the gravity drive was just going to be this smooth black orb with mechanical arms that rotated around it, but they opted to go for that pointed sphere with the 3 magnetic circular rings going around it as an homage to Hellraiser.
Biblically accurate angel.
Do what now?
It does look like a biblically accurate angel.
Oh, yes, you're right. I never thought about that.
Wheel of eyes and fire.
The spinning wheels of eyes of fire. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so this was a clear homage to Hellraiser because of that. And Clive Barker actually worked on the pre-production design stuff too. So that's
no shit.
No surprise. I'm telling you, Amazon Prime X-Ray is the best way to watch a film if you want to know stuff, because it's time-stamped and you can jump to it.
Oh, I should do that. Oh, I will have to look into that.
Watchers, try it out.
I do whenever I see this in sci-fi, I love it. I just love the lived-in aesthetic rather than the oh, smooth, sleek, everything's chrome and white and perfect. It's
Now,
like,
this is
no,
very
that's
real.
not how people operate.
Yeah.
Even if it starts out like that, shit's gonna get scuffed up real fast.
Right. Right. But yeah, I mean, I love this movie. I'd love to know what could have made it an 8 for you. What did you need to make this an 8?
Here's the thing.
The missing
and
time,
This is why I
the
might be
gore.
being a little bit unfair. I'm kind of not sure.
Oh, that's fair, though. There's just an ineffable content that's missing. You're not sure what it is, and you'll never be
I
sure.
think leaning in on the horror, or being allowed to show more without fear of the NC-17 definitely would have helped, because I think that was it. It felt like it was building to something that they weren't allowed to show
Yes.
and couldn't work around not showing it, so they just didn't.
In fact, that's another piece of trivia, is that when they were cutting stuff, they didn't have time to do proper re-edits, so they were literally just cutting out whole scenes with no regard for, was there a setup that was that never pays off now?
Yeah, that really kind of sucks.
And it's truly not their fault, because it was only a few weeks before release when they had to do it. It was during audience screenings and MPAA screenings, and they're just like, no, kind of blows. Yeah.
This was an early appearance by Mr. Jason Isaacs.
Yes, actually. Yeah, we can move on to that particular segment, the better known as the guys on Big Dumb Monsters call it. I love Jason Isaacs, but really, this was pretty early on in his career.
This is the youngest I have ever seen him.
Actually, let me just pull him up. I'll see what his notable stuff before this might have been, but I don't think it's much. Oh, IMDb. I don't want to look at that. You're a bastard.
Oh, and also kind of going off of the lived-in aesthetic of the ship and the design, like the spacesuit design, it looks so practical. Yeah, that's exactly what that would be like.
Oh my God,
of course, it would be
space.
clunky and huge.
Oh, they used real spacesuits as their design. They didn't go for some weird sleek sci-fi thing. They took real suits and enhanced them. They weighed 65 pounds. They were very hard to put on and take off.
Yeah, they had to make something that you could essentially hang yourself on, because you couldn't sit down in the suit because of the backpack.
All right, Jason Isaacs' most notable role before this would have been the Highlander TV shows. And honestly, everything else on here.
Hey! I will defend the Highlander TV show. It's cheesy and horrible, but it was enjoyable.
I just haven't seen it.
He was in Dragonheart in '96, which is one of my favorite movies. I don't I do remember him. Oh, yeah. I just didn't know it was before this even. All right, yeah. And then, of course, everybody knows who Jason Isaacs is. He's been in a movie every year, multiple movies every year since, the early 90s. I'm looking for a gap here. I'm not seeing one. The man is popular.
Oh, yeah, no. Mr. Lucius Malfoy there.
Right. I mean, there's a whole series
also,
there.
He was in one of the best canceled Netflix shows that I'm still fucking salty about.
Which one?
OA.
The OA? Oh, I didn't see that one. Oh, he's
absolutely excellent.
He does voice work for the Sentinel and the Inquisitor in Star Wars Rebels.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I'd have to re-listen to that now.
Oh, he was also in one of my all-time favorite movies, Death of Stalin. That movie is funny as shit.
I haven't seen that. I'll have to check it out.
Oh, highly recommend.
Oh my God, he's got 9 upcoming. This is what I'm talking about. He has 9 upcoming projects. The man is just everywhere.
Get a bag. Get a bag.
So that's Jason Isaacs. That's pretty much everything notable for him. Everybody knows who Lawrence Fishburne is. You know where you saw him. No, he's not Samuel L. Jackson. Don't confuse them for each other.
Matrix, Apocalypse Now, Hannibal for the TV connoisseur.
Oh, yes. Good show. Great show.
I love Hannibal. I love the interview, like the behind the scenes interview on like because I have like the first two seasons on Blu-ray, but I love that interview that Hugh Dancy gives where he's talking about how he wasn't on set the day that they had to film some huge fight between Mads Mikkelsen and Lawrence Fishburne, between those two characters. He said he came back the next day and just was like asking like crew members like how'd it go and everything, and the response he got most people was just a kind of like horrified like Lawrence Fishburne is really strong because like he had
He's a stocky guy.
Matrix.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Lawrence Fishburne, I think Apocalypse Now would be the first thing that you'd really know him from. That's one of his early credits. He was actually only 14, I think, when that got made. There's a whole separate canon we could go into for that, or he forged documents or something.
Yep.
What else? Oh, he was in MASH for an episode.
Huh.
Good to know. I mean, other than that, this would have been an early role for him. Yeah.
I thought he looked pretty young.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good amount of stuff, but nothing like super notable that I saw. And then obviously his work post this because it's right about the time the Matrix series comes out, and then he's in some Mission Impossibles, Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. I'm sorry. Oh, he's the voice of the Silver Surfer. Oh, okay. I don't think I knew that. Yeah, so was there any actor in this that you recognized from something else, but you didn't know that until you were looking at it? You know?
Sort of. I saw the name Sean Pertwee, and I was like, that sounds like the Doctor Who guy.
Okay.
And it turns out that his father is the actor who played the third Doctor in the OG run of Doctor Who. So there was that.
Him I actually know from Equilibrium and Dog Soldiers.
Have not seen either of those.
Okay, well, Equilibrium is the version of the Matrix that would have been better to get sequels.
You should do that on this show.
Noted.
We'll do Equilibrium on this show. That's true.
I did some of my Googling afterwards because I was like, I recognize, like, this guy's face looks familiar. I'm pretty sure he's related to that guy. And then, of course, pull up Wikipedia. He was also in that Gotham TV series.
Didn't check that out.
He was Alfred.
Okay.
It was fine.
Well, it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, he's recognizable. You've probably seen him in something, but if it wasn't one of his more popular movies, I don't know what the hell you would have seen him in, because these are...
Yeah.
Oh. There's
And
a lot
let
of
me know
bust.
if I'm jumping too far ahead here, but here's a thing that made my fucking skin crawl. When Peters, I think her name is, the medic,
Oh, yeah.
or the one that seems to be the other medic in addition to Jason Isaacs' character.
Well, he's trauma.
She's like,
I said he's trauma. That's what he says in the scene. They're all introducing them and telling their jobs, and he goes,
yeah,
DJ,
yeah.
trauma. And they all laugh at him.
But when she's like in the med bay with Justin, and she's like, doing her own thing, looking at the like the ship's log or whatever, the hand like scraping the tarp, the tent, the sheet that was over that made my fucking skin crawl. That was so freaky.
They did some good not jump horror, like uneasy horror. Like, I don't feel comfortable right now.
Just, like, fully tensed up, like, oh my god.
Yeah, and that lady, Kathleen Quinlan, she's been in, again, everything. All of these actors are everywhere. They've, oh my gosh, she was in Independence Day. Oh boy, I don't know any of these other ones though. American Graffiti. But yeah, great actress. And did anyone else stand out, like, that you didn't know that this might have been like an early role for them?
I don't think so.
Like, Sam Neill obviously is Sam Neill. He's had a ton of work
Mr.
before this.
Jurassic Park.
Right. And that's a little bit before this, it's got a few years on it, so that's obviously where most people that are under the age of 50 are going to know him from, But he is now Sir Sam Neill. I did not know that. He has been knighted.
Oh, good for him. Hell yeah. Another freaking awesome piece of trivia regarding Mr. Sam Neill's costume in this movie is that he has, because he's Australian, right?
Yeah.
So he had the Australian flag patch on his, like, you know, official like, space suit.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. But instead of having the British flag in the corner of it, he had the Australian Aboriginal flag.
Yep.
Because he figured that shit would be over by, like, 2047, which, like,
we hope we can get there in 20
Yeah.
years, yeah. I don't know if you noticed, they also had, the British actors had a European Union flag with 22 stars, because this came out before England left the EU. Before Brexit.
I pretend I do not see it.
But yeah, so that's just they had that thought of like, what would the world look like in 2049, and they had these positive vibes, even in this horrible, scary
that's
movie.
So nice.
It's
Well, I mean, I guess we are technically making strides because New Zealand now goes by, or like they use the Aboriginal name for New Zealand now. It's Aotearoa, I believe.
if you want to super movie watch. Oh, Possession.
So maybe we're making progress.
Yeah, I mean, we are slowly, but not 2049. Let's 2089.
No.
Push it out another, 20, 30 years.
Yeah, we got a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, I love this movie.
And also just design-wise, when they're like in the core, when they're going through like this, he has to like, I'm gonna go see if this thing needs to be replaced. Daniel's character, the computer chip like tunnel. Honestly, I thought that was so genius because like, of course, technology of that magnitude, like if you are giving people like, because you have like, oh, futuristic spaceship, but the captain's log is still on the CD, because like you have to give people something to grab onto.
Right.
So like, yeah, it's computer chips, but it's tunnels of computer chips because of course technology this massive and extensive would require that much space behind the scenes. Like, I just thought that was such an interesting extrapolation based on the technology that was available at the time of making this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and even with advances in technology, the reality of a ship like this is it would need tunnels of things even in the future from now to be powered.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
The engine room alone would take every piece of computing power we have on Earth today, plus some.
Oh, God, yeah. And speaking of other things that are going back to things that made me fucking tense, when we're back in the med bay and they're doing this panning where she's like, she's pacing, they're following her with the camera, and as soon as they were doing this, I'm like, oh, I see this coming a fucking mile away. That they did the like, pan over once, you see Justin. Pan over twice, he's back there. Third time, where's the body?
Yep. The
I was
old
like, ooh,
bait and
that was
switch.
good. I liked it. So I was a big fan of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of elements to this. I think Nick even said there was atmosphere for days in this movie. I'm hoping that's what he was talking about. Because I would agree with that.
That's an apt description, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, it makes up for some of the other, what I sort of perceive as maybe flaws or shortcomings. Just like, man, it has a vibe to it.
I mean, from start to finish, it's got the right feeling. I'm tense the whole time.
Yes.
In a good way.
Yes, I'm uncomfortable. Things are bleak.
So do you have any hot takes on this? Things that you think are unique to your point of view? What would you say about this movie?
Oh,
good, bad. Is there something that you want to be different? Is there something that you want removed?
I want a further I've kind of already said this, but again, I wish they could have gone further with the horror aspects of it. We got this little tiny taste of it with like, that the body getting fucking flayed open.
Well, hear me out. I have an idea that we should pitch. They should do a sequel to this, which involves flashbacks as well, but Sam Neill plays himself, just now getting back from the Hell Dimension after 20 years or 30 years trapped in the Hell Dimension. And they could do flashbacks where they could pull in some of the stuff we lost from the first movie, but remake it with modern technology. and then do a whole new thing where instead of being a sort of a passive trapped feeling of this, it's more of an offensive thing where he's taking the ship and intentionally, like Reavers from Firefly, he's out there like capturing people and doing this to them against their will.
All right. I've never seen Firefly.
Oh my god, I need a moment.
I'm a child.
It's quintessential sci-fi. I have concerns.
Nick says he's going to be ill.
I just had to look away because I thought I was gonna puke. Oh my god.
Sorry, I was a Doctor Who sci-fi girl.
The heartburn will pass. The heartburn will pass.
Oh my god. Dramatic.
It is true. I am. No, but
And also, I read every single one of the Dune books.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, everyone can be a nerd in their own way. Everyone's a nerd in their own way.
I slogged through all of the books after God Emperor when it was nothing but thinly veiled philosophy lessons and the author's breeding kink.
Oh. Well,
My hand just happens to be in the right place.
folks, that's why we have a soundboard. Yeah, but I think that'd be really fun, you know, if it was a sequel about the future with flashbacks to bring some more content that was lost back into it, and then focused hard into the horror.
I think, is that I didn't buy Sam Neill's sort of like becoming evil or whatever.
Yeah.
I think they should,
weird.
and I don't even necessarily know exactly what the solution is here. I have some vague ideas, like I don't know, maybe like finding some way to establish like a further connection to the ship, other than just he's the guy who designed it. Like it needed more, I guess. And again, I'm not being particularly helpful here by like, here's all these criticisms and here's, fix it. I don't know how, but I needed more. Or like show that like find another way to show that like the ship has become, a living entity and have like
That's
convey
true.
that it's invading his mind.
Yeah.
Because it's the designer, rather than like, they're connected, kind of hand wave it.
Also, just having one expert on a trip like this, I understand not wanting to transport deep into space a lot of people, but there's no way that one person knows every design aspect of this ship. He designed the drive, right? How come he knows where that specific chip is? Yeah. Yeah, they should have had a team of people on here, and then they could have added some depth with them all slowly losing their minds too. But I guess they only wanted one villain, though.
Pushes us into like mini-series territory.
It does.
Again, conceptually cool.
Yeah, a lot of limited
Like, you
series are
have all
good.
the experts, and they slowly lose their minds. Slowly start losing their minds, and it bleeds out to the rest of the crew. And the person who did the most intense design work on the black hole aspect loses it first.
Right.
Things like that.
Yeah. The thing is, I guess they only wanted one villain. That's why there's not more people all losing their mind at the same time. And it's because they originally pitched it as The Shining in space. That's before they had a script. They were trying to get approval for writing a script, and that's what they said.
When you say it, I see it, but it never occurred to me as I was watching this.
There's homages to it all throughout too. There's even like the elevator pouring blood and
Okay, that I did see. I didn't think of it like plot wise as I was watching this. I was just like, Kubrick reference, and then didn't think about it again.
Right, yeah. But no, it was intentional.
Just the stasis mechanism I liked. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, they handled that really well. The fluid in the lungs and deep sleep.
Like, I buy it.
Yeah. That's all very real stuff. Yeah.
Like, it's so much... I buy it so much more than like, we just decrease the temperature and you go to sleep. Like, no. Getting preserved for 56 straight days should be fucking uncomfortable when you come back online.
Yeah, and they're like gagging, having trouble breathing, like that's perfect.
Like,
that's
I feel
real.
like that's genuinely what it would be like.
I don't know how many generations of technology we'd have to go by before an effective cryo sleep, even in sci-fi, is believable.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you're setting your thing, like, millions and millions of years in the future, do whatever the hell you want.
Right.
But, like, 50?
It's not enough. Yeah, you got to make it believable,
Not
bro.
enough. That shit is gonna be
Yeah.
painful at, like, excruciating at worst, mildly painful at best.
Yeah, I mean, just reel it in. That's just one big reel it in, babes. You're going a little too far. You know, take it down a notch. What about Demolition Man?
Yeah, they definitely get some points. They earn some points with just the believability of it compared to some other science fiction that was maybe a little older, maybe a little bit more optimistic. Because again, in the 50s, they're like, oh, the year 2000, like, you've got a little more wiggle room than the 90s saying, like, 2047.
Right. Yeah. I still don't think that I would think positively about the future enough to have an optimistic future.
And the thing is, though, this is only really kind of optimistic about the technology. It's not necessarily optimistic about, like, what's out there.
Right. That's true. We don't know what Earth is like. Earth could be just terrible.
Yeah, and also just, like, again, there's ships going missing, people needing to rescue them, horrible hell dimension versus, like, again, science fiction from the 1950s and prior, later, sort of, you know,
Flying cars
or whatever. It's like, we'll all have a fucking house on the moon.
Or even in the 60s, Star Trek, where, you know, they dream of all of Earth united, joining a federation of
Which,
other
like,
planets.
God, I wish.
Yeah.
That would be lovely.
But even in Star Trek, though, we may join a federation of other planets. We still go to war with other races, though. We're still not happy with those particular guys.
I mean, at least we didn't nuke. At least they stopped us from nuking ourselves.
Technically, no. In Star Trek, it's after World War III, which is done in 2045?
I don't remember.
Well, I don't remember when World War III happens, and there's nukes and stuff, and then after that.
I have old parents, so I'm an original series gal because that's what my dad showed me.
I love original series. I think original series is superior for story, but inferior for overall. Like, episodically, it's superior in every way. Thematically to the series
is that you will see the most progressive, groundbreaking thing that was on TV that year, immediately followed by the worst thing ever put to film. I love the original series so much.
It's so good. It's so good.
Anyway.
But yeah,
yeah, there were just. They're like, oh, she won't let you go. I was like, how did we get here? It felt a little hand wavy.
Again, yeah, I feel like the cut out time, the time they lost, there must have been
and
more
again,
plot.
That's not on them.
No, they did what they could with the time they had. I'm sad
But
that they didn't think to save it.
The audience does feel it, or at least I, as the audience, felt it.
Nick informed me that Star Trek's World War III was in the mid-90s, so I am wrong. And Chris said so was his personal World War III.
Love it. Is there a chat that I'm not seeing, or is that because I've joined your stream?
Because you joined our stream, we're seeing the chat on our Twitch. So if you were watching as well on Twitch, you would see the chat.
I'll have to play around with my windows as this continues. We'll get there.
Yeah. There's some audio things we got to work out with from your side too, but it's good enough to get us through this inaugural episode. You know what I mean?
We'll take it. You know, and that just means stay tuned for bigger and better things.
That's our motto here at Big Dumb Monsters. We suck today, but we get better.
We might not tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot more to say about this film. I love it to death. You know the actors. I mean, almost every actor in this is notable.
Yeah.
As either an early role for them.
Say, the Peter's fall. Whew, what a horrible way to go.
Oh, yes. I mean, when what's his face? Justin tries to do the long walk into space there. Boy.
The airlock thing, that was also deeply unpleasant.
I mean, just watching that was so uncomfortable. And they handled the tension of that so well. Like Lawrence Fishburne pulling himself through space and then launching
That's another
across.
thing. I thought that was such a clever, believable, like, this is how, like, theoretically someone who has, like, military training for this sort of scenario might go about attempting to rescue somebody who is about to be sucked out into space.
They had a great plan and it worked, and it looked well rehearsed. And since they're a rescue team, that makes sense. They're literally like the Coast Guard rescue team of space.
Again, for all of the, like, you know, sort of maybe minor criticisms that I do have, like, this felt real.
Yeah, every
Like,
part of it.
90% of this felt very legit to me.
I think the most unbelievable thing for me out of everything is just the audacity of Cooper and the insubordination of Cooper, constantly just talking back to everybody and acting unprofessional. Yeah, I mean, that's going to happen, but like the level they ramp it up to with him, it's absurd.
Yeah, but also I guess I'm kind of willing to forgive it because, like, even in, like, you know, they've, like, done rescues before, whatever, like, this is fucking, like, they didn't even know exactly what they were getting into until they were out in deep space with this guy telling them, like, so by the way, this was bullshit, here's what actually happened, and now you have to go clean it up.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of fair. That's the real way they would do it. And you see that, that's probably a trope in some movies where, like, we're a rescue team, we've been hired, and we're on the plane to get there. That's when they tell us the actual mission, you know?
Yeah.
Because we didn't want you to turn it down.
And I can sort of imagine being in such a, like, high-stress situation where, like, again, because, like, so many people, people started dying pretty quick.
I'm going to regret saying this, but isn't that also the premise to Aliens, Chris? They don't, the mercenaries don't know, just he tells them while they're flying to the planet about the xenomorphs.
Yeah,
that's how much of a trope this is.
Surprise goal is actually their real goal.
Yeah, Aliens is the same plot. It's, you know,
I've seen Alien.
the better one, but that's okay.
Would you say the sequel is worth watching? I was wary because I know how sequels to, like, utterly beloved things tend to work out.
So the problem with Aliens, and I say that with love, Chris, is it's a completely different genre. It's not a bad film.
Okay.
My problem is I love Aliens so much that I wanted another Alien movie. And I got Aliens, which is in the same universe, completely different style. It's more of an action film with the xenomorphs inserted.
Correct.
Noted.
Fuck you.
Yeah. And that doesn't make it bad, you know? Bad is Resurrection. Bad is AVP.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Alien 3 went back to that.
Is it, like, phoning in to say fuck you?
No,
that's
we have
a soundbite we have.
for Nick saying that. We have the best sound bites on our soundboard. There's lots of good stuff. And as we say stupid things, they're going to clip it out,
I'm
too.
having an idea. I'm thinking that for Fighting with Friends, because this comes up all the time, I'm going to need a soundbite of myself saying maybe I'm just gross, because I cannot even begin to tell you how often that comes up.
That's awesome. Yeah. Clips are the best.
I'm writing that down for myself. Don't mind if I do. Anyway...
Yeah, so the body horror of this film is kept to a minimum, sadly. There's only visually on screen.
Like, maybe I am just gross. I like body horror.
I said sadly. I mean, this is the perfect movie for more body horror that you know exists, but was cut.
Yeah.
Like, this literally looks like Hellraiser to me.
That's the thing. Like,
And I want
Hellraiser is a deeply imperfect movie. God.
I want to see them maiming each other or maiming themselves from the exposure, you know?
No. And here's, this is one of the reasons I'm particularly excited to go see Immaculate, which I'm going to go see tomorrow night, but,
It's great. You'll love it.
Here's the thing. My friend went to go see it. One of my friends from my various group chats went to go see it before me, and she described it as wet. That's what I want from my porn. I want that shit wet.
And so there's her soundbite.
Yay, I got one first episode. No, and you know what? You use that liberally, because that is how I'm going to describe. I Like
That's
there
what
are
I want
so
my
many
horror. I
movies
want
where-
it wet, you know?
There are so many movies where, like, one of my main criticisms of the practical effects will be that, like, this, like, viscera that's supposed to be splattered on the walls, it's rubber.
Yeah.
Like, it's so clearly rubber when if you had just, like, put some Vaseline on it, I would have bought it so much more.
Right. Yeah. Put just a tiny bit of
Like-
effort into it, or it's just looks like a haunted house, you know? Doesn't-
Like Hellraiser, that shit is dripping.
Yes.
Or like X, Pearl. Like you can physically see things like X, like flesh mushing under tires.
Oh, yeah.
And again, it's fucking wet. That's how it should look.
I just love the sound bites we're getting from her right now. It's a pile of joy for me over here because I like pushing buttons.
Oh, I'll say anything.
Well,
I do not
by the way, the second clip is going to be put some Vaseline on it.
Yep. I didn't even think about that. All you had to do was put some Vaseline on it, and I would have believed it so much more.
But here's the, am I wrong?
No, God, no. This movie does
Have you
get it
watched-
wet.
Have you watched Tusk?
No. I haven't watched. What's the other one?
Dude.
You're in for a weird time.
I like weird, you know.
No, do it. It's a good weird time. But again, there's some practical effects in there where they were trying, and I really truly respect that. But if it had just looked more like, again, like exposed flesh, like it's supposed to, rather than like this is a Halloween mask of exposed flesh.
Yeah,
Like it would have elevated it to it. It would have taken it to a whole other level.
for sure. I agree with that. If it falls flat in that like Halloween mask level of effort, then
So,
yeah.
as ridiculous and gross as I am making things sound, there is a certain dampness that is necessary.
It's true though. You're right, and this movie does come through on most of that. I mean, I'm trying to think of a part
they
where
do-
it's
that's the thing. They do a very good job of that, like fucking eyes exploding.
Yeah.
I buy that. That shit would drip down your face and float in zero gravity.
and anytime they're like cut up, they're showing people that are like cut up and mutilated and stuff. It's bleeding wounds. They're not just like open red looking wounds. There's like
Yeah, exactly.
Real
Even,
world.
The sort of like scarification that's going on when Sam Neill is like fully evil. Like maybe it's not actively bleeding anymore, but it's that kind of like it's like that tacky sort of
Right,
consistency
yes.
that blood gets when it's like thick but partially dried in like a giant like gash or whatever.
right. It all looks so much more real than some other movies pull off, and I will give this a thumbs
And
up
that's
for
the
their
thing, like
effects.
Hellraiser, there's definitely like some of the stuff. It's like, yeah, okay, I can see like I can see the joint here, I can see like the animatronic, but it's covered in just like goop and it helps to hide that.
Oh God, what else is there to say about this?
Here's something that is totally irrelevant, but a thought I had multiple times watching this movie. Sam Neill has really nice eyes.
I think that's what he was knighted for. Yeah. That
Okay, great.
maybe his acting. I don't know.
But yeah, there were a couple points where there were close-ups on his face. I'm just like, man, he's got such nice eyes.
Oh, so does Jason Isaacs. Why aren't you talking?
Oh, 100%. I think Jason Isaacs is incredibly attractive.
What about Lawrence Fishburne? I'm sensing a pattern here.
Here's the thing. Let's see how you think you're sensing, and then I'll tell you if you're right or not.
No, it was a total joke. I was backing you into a corner that you had to say yes, or else you
I
picked the
don't
two
think
white
Lawrence
guys and
Fishburne
not
is
the other guy.
unattractive. I mean, I don't.
No, eye fetish. What kind of eye fetish, Nick? Are we talking like you like to look at eyes? That's the fetish? Are we talking you like to see them plucked out? Eye fetish, like eye, comma, fetish. Nice. Yes, and excellent. Yeah, so
I mean, if you want me to break down my kinks, I will do it gladly.
that's another episode. It is called Regrettable Reviews. We can do that. I could do whatever I want.
Will
It's
that
my
be like
show.
a 50th episode special or something?
Yes, maybe we will. Yeah, as far as Event Horizon, I mean, we covered everything I thought there was to cover. It's such a good movie. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely go watch it.
Yeah, I will say that is the end of my notes. The sort of flayed body of Jason Isaacs' character. This is the only thing that's maybe again partially relevant because Lawrence Fishburne wound up being in the Hannibal TV series.
Right.
That was giving Hannibal.
Yeah, that same vibes. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I liked this. I mean, I feel like that's really kind of my overall vibe.
Yeah, this is definitely
Thumbs up. I enjoyed. I have some critiques, but overall, it was a great time.
agreed. 100% agreed. Yeah, so I guess that's all I have to say about this. So we could do the crapshoot is what the guys normally do, and we're gonna have to come up with our own variation of that concept. Where we just what's going on with you? What are you doing? What have you done recently? Nick says, "I do not regret watching this movie."
Watching this movie. Been working on some cosplay armor like a crazy person.
Oh,
Because things are coming up. So I've been doing that, and that's really it. I don't do much. I lead a very boring life.
fair enough.
I wish I didn't.
I used to
I'm
live a lot
attempting-
less boring of a
I'm
life.
attempting to change that.
Yeah.
But
Cosplaying, I normally stick to clothing-based ones because it's a lot easier to modify and make it work. I don't want to build the armor out and stuff,
there's something in my brain where I see a character and I like them and I hyperfixate on them and I want to cosplay them. It has to be perfect or I'll die.
See, I feel like I would want the same thing, and that would make me spend way too much time on
If it's not perfect, then I might as well not even be doing it.
So what are you building the cosplay for?
You already saw me as Vessel. I'm adding
Yes.
the shoulder armor, though. This
Oh,
is
okay,
me
cool.
making it perfect.
Nice. That'll be nice.
Because I did not have enough time last time.
But I meant, where will you be cosplaying?
Oh, Saratoga again.
Oh, okay. So you're just talking about May. Gotcha. Which the guys will be at as well. All of Big Dumb Monsters will be there, May 4th and 5th. You can definitely come see us there. So I guess what I have going on, not a whole lot. Big Dumb Monsters just did Godzilla Kong: The New Empire, and Defenestration Hour is coming out with a new episode this Friday. And
Hell yes.
Chris, what are we doing Saturday? I don't even fucking know.
Oh, Nick and I came up with something at the last minute. Nick, help me out. I forgot. I remember what it was today. Rubber. We're doing Rubber.
Oh, that'll be
Oh
my
my God, I love
second
that
time
movie.
watching Rubber. I'll come in studio. Guest on our.
I love that movie. My friend and I, back when there was a short-lived third co-host to the podcast, his name was Zach. Brooks couldn't make it for the stream that week, so he and I watched Rubber and talked about it. Oh my God, we had a blast.
It's such a bizarre film, but
I've
I'm
never
gonna
seen it
save
It's
before.
an incredibly bizarre movie, but God, I love it.
I'm gonna save my thoughts on it until Saturday. But that's what Big Dumb Monsters will be doing Saturday. I suggest everybody tunes
Hell
in
yeah,
for
so
that.
go check that out.
Yeah, so that's all I've got going
Playing
on.
with Friends streaming at 8 tomorrow. Gonna be playing some video games. I haven't decided which game yet, but we're just gonna be talking about whatever while I play some games.
Nice. If you guys get Helldivers, maybe we can join sometimes and
Yeah, we
play.
do
'Cause
community
we've got
night.
Helldivers on
I
our
have
Steam.
played
right?
Helldivers before. I do have that game.
So if you ever choose to do that, we could do a dual episode.
I am absolutely down for a collab stream. I have been attempting to plan some of those independent of that suggestion. But so what do we do? Do we like pick the next movie live on air, or do we
No, we'll do that off air. We'll figure something out. But normally we would give out our socials, but those guys have them memorized and rehearsed. So I usually just drop the link tree, which is what it looks like Chris is currently typing out. And it is linktr.ee/bigdumbmonsters. And there you can find our Facebook, our Twitter/X, our Threads, our Instagram. I'm not sure what else is on there, but we also have a Steam account. What is it? Oh, TeePublic. Go to TeePublic and search for Big Dumb Monsters.
Hell yeah.
just give us a like, a subscribe. Watch the show. Tell us how we can improve it.
We also have a link tree, which is at the exact same link, tr.ee/FWFpod, which has links to our Twitch, my Twitter, Brooks' Twitter, Facebook, our Discord server, all that sort of fun stuff.
Yeah, and at some point we may, have a full Regrettable Reviews link tree and other things to go with it. More on that later, if this takes off.
Hell yes.
I do own the domain, regrettablereviews.com, so it's very likely we'll be continuing with this concept.
Absolutely love to see it. I'm very grateful to be included and definitely looking forward to what's coming next.
So I guess with that, I'll leave you with the guys' words of wisdom, which are don't let ghoulies eat your ass, and never sleep in a deathbed.
All right, I like it. Our closer is not relevant here, so.
Fair enough. All right. Well, bye-bye.
Adios.